This is the age in which falsehood is termed truth, and truth persecuted as falsehood or mocked as insanity, in which the exponents of truth, the divinely inspired leaders, the real friends of their race and of all the living, the godlike man, are defeated and their followers humbled and their memories slandered, while the masters of lies are hailed as saviors. The age in which every man and woman is in the wrong place and the world dominated by inferior individuals, bastardized races and vicious doctrines, all part and parcel of an order of inherent ugliness far worse than complete anarchy, the age characterized from time immemorial as the Dark Age, the era of gloom. Aided by staggering scientific achievements, which can be put to use for any purpose, man has, throughout history, become more and more violent. It cannot be otherwise until the violent and complete destruction of that which we call today's civilization opens for the world a new age of truth, a new golden age. Until then, violence under one form or another is unavoidable. It is the very law of life in a fallen world. But violence is not a bad thing in itself. It is worth its while when those who pursue it do so in keeping with an ideology expressing timeless, impersonal, more than human truth, rooted in the clear understanding of the unchanging laws of life, and destined to appeal to all those who in a fallen world still retain within their hearts an invincible yearning for perfect order. Moreover, as the era of gloom in which we are living proceeds, growing darker and fiercer year after year, it becomes more and more impossible to avoid using violence in the service of truth. One can say, with more and more certainty as the Dark Age goes on, that the godlike men of action are defeated, at least for the time being, not for having been too ruthless, but for not having been ruthless enough, for not having killed off their fleeing enemies to the last man, for not having silenced both the squeamish millions of hypocrites and their masters, the clever producers of atrocity tales, by more substantial violence, more complete exterminations. From all of this, it is quite clear that to condemn violence indiscriminately is to condemn the very struggle of the forces of life and light against the forces of disintegration. A struggle all the more heroic and all the more desperate as the world rushes on toward its doom. Whether consciously or unconsciously, whether they be thoroughly wicked or blind through congenital stupidity, the workers of disintegration wage war upon the men of gold and steel with unabated, hellish fury. It is prompted by bare hatred, rooted in envy, the hatred of worthless weaklings for the strong, for no other reason than that they are strong, the hatred of ugly souls for the naturally beautiful, the hatred of the rabble for the noble, the real aristocracy of the world. Such is, more and more, the widespread violence of our times. What has set the whole world so bitterly against the upholders of ruthless methods, both in government and war, is not so much that these were violent, but that they were frank. Liars hate those who speak the unpleasant truth and who act in accordance with it. The unpleasant truth is that pacifism, nonviolence, and so forth are just rackets in the service of the forces of disintegration, dishonest tricks to bluff the fools, emasculate the strong, and to set millions of cowards and hypocrites against the few whose inspired policy pursued ruthlessly to its logical end to perhaps even now arrest the decay of man. Nonviolence can only exist in a world in which the socio-political order is, on the human scale, a replica of the eternal order of the cosmos. One cannot have it both ways. Whoever is not for the everlasting forces of light and life is against them. But it is true that the bold minority of men of action who fight against time for golden age ideals is bound to become more and more ruthless in its effort to overcome an increasingly well-organized and universal opposition. And thus, day after day, year after year, and as time goes on, the struggle will be between openly acknowledged, openly accepted violence, and violence dishonestly disguised, the former being put to the service of life's highest purpose on earth, namely, the creation of a perfect or golden age humanity, the latter to that of the enemies of life. All men, inasmuch as they are not liberated from the bondage of time, follow the downward path of history, whether they know it or not, whether they like it or not. They follow the fatal way. They obey their destiny. Man is unhappy because he knows that the world in which he lives and of which he is a part is not what it should be. He cannot accept the fact that it is going from bad to worse and be glad. However much he may try, still an invincible yearning for the better remains at the bottom of his heart.